What brings a nightmare to life? From our deepest fears, monsters are born. And if told and retold, a nightmare could live on to cause fear in the hearts of generations to come. In this series, we're going to explore various myths, mythologies, and mythical creatures, and how they came to be. Up first, Aswang. Aswangs are shapeshifters who live among their human neighbors and carry on a regular life. At night, they morph into various creatures in order to hunt their prey, mainly young children and unborn fetuses, which they suck out and devour directly from the mother's womb. There seems to be no fixed description of the Aswang, as it is dependent on the region. Some describe it as a purely were-dog, while others state a ghastly-looking vampire. The common theme between the regions is that Aswangs are shapeshifters. It is thought that the Aswang will live among the villagers and carry on a regular life. Then at night, it will morph into various creatures of nightmare. Some are said to have a long snout that sucks the unborn babies from the mother's womb and feast on the liver and hearts of small children. Often very quick and quiet when close upon its prey. It makes more noise in the distance to confuse its potential victims. Even in the present day, the Aswang is a strongly feared creature in the Philippines. A newspaper heading dated 31st of October of 2013 read, "Dad hacks daughter mistaken for Aswang." Winnie Ratista from Manila mistook his mute 17-year-old daughter for an Aswang after she had awoken at 9 p.m. to use the outside bathroom. He thought he was about to become a victim of the vampire-like creature, so he set to defend himself and his family. He ferociously hacked at her 4 times before realizing what he had done. As far as I can find, she survived her injuries. Because the Aswang are said to walk among humans during daylight, they are also thought to be weaker at this time, their defenses low, making them vulnerable. They do not attack their neighbors unless their identity is exposed. Then they ruthlessly kill. The Aswang is apparently afraid of and avoids citrus fruit, a case of a bullet, salt, garlic, charcoal, coconut stick, and a bamboo broom. The only way to identify the Aswang during the day is to look into their eyes. If your reflection in their eyes is upside down, you are standing face to face with an Aswang. The Aswang is generally a human with supernatural abilities, not unlike witches or shamans of Native Americas. They typically undergo some sort of transformation after falling into a spell-induced trance, possibly via some strange ointment or concoction. They typically exhibit some bestial qualities and take on forms of specific animals, commonly a large dog, large cat, large bird, or pig, all with pitch black fur or coat. They also have superhuman strength, speed, and stealth. Along with these traits, they're also known to cast spells on people, not unlike witchcraft. They can completely deceive the senses and have an effect akin to voodoo. There are several types of the Aswang, the first being the one we've been discussing. The second, called the Tik-Tik. These are more insidious. They are also hairy and dark, but nimble, and tend to climb on top of roofs. They have long protruding tongues, which they use to eat their preferred prey, human organs or unborn fetuses. They typically crawl on rooftops and dangle their long tongues which penetrate the victim and suck their insides. It is said they got their name from their call, tick, tick. When it's loud, it means it's far away. When you almost can't hear it, that means it's right next to you. The Menenangal, Boo-Saw, and the Boo-Boo. All of these have weaknesses. Salt, as it is believed all over the world in the ancient times that salt was the holy water before Christianity became prominent. You can have the medicine man give you his blessing in the form of wards, which can put off the creature's advances, especially when there's a pregnant woman involved. A stingray tail. This is one of the few things that is believed to hurt an Aswang, or you can go with the failsafe, a gun. The Visayas, the Capis in particular, have become stigmatized as being the home of these creatures. If a resident of Capis is elsewhere in the Philippines, it is not uncommon for people to jest that they flew in, or to jokingly refer to them as an Aswang. So damaging is this stigma, Capisans operating business in Manila will often lie about where they come from. But how did this come to be? Perhaps you've heard the tale of Tiente Guimo and how he pretended to be an Aswang in order to dissuade Japanese troops from entering the town of Duenos Lolo. Many speculate that this began the rumors. It's a terrific story, but the Aswang phenomena on Panay Island predates World War II. Proof of this can be found in the Aswang by Vicente Perez in 1924, where he clearly shows that the belief in Aswang was well established in Poraton. It is even further recorded in 1926 and again in 1927, further confirming that the belief in the Aswang and its association with the Capis existed well before the legends of Tiente Guimo. Another attempt to dispel the myth has been made by saying female freedom fighters opposing the Spanish were tagged as Aswang, so the people would not support the revolts. This is a very romantic version of the history. Unfortunately, it isn't true. While it is well known that the Spanish did horrible things to the people of the Visayas, they beat, tortured, and publicly humiliated them, this was well documented by the Spanish themselves. They took pride in the cries of these former spiritual leaders and their subsequent conversion to Christianity. They absolutely abhorred the superstitious nature of the Filipinos, with their casting of lots and fear of spirits and ghouls. It is an unlikely proposal that they would spread the belief in anything other than their interpretations on the Word of God. While there is evidence that some of the deities among them were deemed witches, it is also well documented that the belief in the Aswang and similar ghoulish spirits already existed all over the Philippines. There is no doubt that the Visayas held a formidable warrior class and powerful female leaders. But in all the documentation regarding revolts in the Philippines, there is never any mention of psychological trickery involving the Aswang. In 2008, while in the Philippines creating the documentary The Aswang Phenomenon, filmmaker Jordan Clark was made aware of a very rare X-linked dystonia Parkinsonism, XDP, or dystonia of Panay. It is an X chromosome defect dating back 50 generations. That would be 1,000 years on Panay Island. According to the most recent studies, 93% of current cases today are located on Panay Island, and 63% of those are in Capis. The Dystonia Medical Research Foundation states that the XDP occurs throughout the Philippines, but is also diagnosed in the US and Canada, most people being of Filipino descent. All known cases of XDP originate from one common ancestor. the gene associated with XDP, called the DYT3 gene, which was discovered in 2003. So how does this fit the Aswang stigma in Capiz? There's an 8-minute video segment from the Aswang phenomenon documentary that I will link in the description box that attempts to explain the phenomena. Imagine this. You are a traveler to Capiz, and you encounter a person suffering from this disease, body twisting, tongue protruding from their mouth, salivating. Before modern medicine and before modern education, it wouldn't be difficult to draw a conclusion that the person is in a transforming state. In fact, many people suffering from XDP in Capiz are still being branded Aswangs. Unfortunately, this forces families to keep the disease hidden instead of seeking effective treatment. Much like those suffering from seizures could have been branded as being possessed by the devil, a lack of education and an active imagination created havoc where there was none. So why is the Aswang still so deeply feared today, having the medical knowledge they have now? If I ever get to the Philippines, I'll try to figure it out for you. I hope you liked this first installment of the series and hope to bring you many, many more. Feel free to request your favorites. Oh, and please like, share, and subscribe, and make sure your notifications are on. Special shout out to Schmeister for suggesting this and also emailing me information on the subject. See you next time.